let's continue our discussion around businesses and languages, right? So you have businesses and languages. So when you think of business, what comes to mind? You think of different people who do businesses, different groups of businesses, different kinds of businesses. So what are some of the characteristics of businesses in general?
They buy and sell.
Exactly.
Some of them want to make money, others don't.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Almost all of them want to improve or increase their overall value. But there are certain characteristics. They fall into different types. Some of them want to buy, some of them want to sell, some of them want to coordinate the process of buying and selling. Some of them may not actually manufacture anything, so they really don't have anything to sell per se. So they become trading organizations. So they become middlemen, okay? So they facilitate trade. So you have different actors, different types of businesses. So you have buyers, you have suppliers, and you have those who focus on logistics, who believe in the movement of goods. And then there are a few others who are slightly tertiary or peripheral. They believe in the movement of information and movement of finances. These are predominantly supporting functions because they're not directly touching the goods. These people actually touch the goods. Okay? So those are the different characteristics of businesses. Now let's come back to how they're related to languages. So businesses here need to communicate with each other. Would you agree? In order to conduct business, we need to be able to communicate with each other. So these groups of people actually want to communicate with each other. Again, going back to what we discussed earlier, they are impacted by a difference in culture. They are impacted by difference in governments. They are impacted by where they are in the world, right? So they have different problems to deal with. So they speak different languages. Let's assume that this buyer wants to actually communicate with 3 suppliers. Okay, so we have buyer 1 who wants to communicate with supplier 1, supplier 2, and supplier 3. In order to make it sound a little complicated, let's say each one of them speaks their own language. So we have 4 parties speaking 4 different languages trying to do the exact same thing. Okay? So what is it that makes this so complicated that their business and their value creation gets impacted? It is actually the ability for them to execute these processes that make up commerce. So that's one thing that's important here. These participants are actually communicating to each other and doing business through this abstraction called a process. And this is very important because it's business processes and automating business processes that binds and forms a bond, rather, between these trading partners. They almost always try to execute a business process between them. Okay? So our goal now is to identify what is the best way for these participants on the network or in any relationship to communicate with each other most effectively. Okay? So this combination here, as you can see, could be extremely complicated. It's not very simple, especially considering differences in time zone, location, and so on and so forth.